All right, what is happening today, guys? I am back with my chest focused push session to start off week number 5, I think, of, well, not start off, second day of week number 5 of the bulk, the growth phase, the push phase, whatever you want to call it. So when I do my voiceovers, it's like a day after I actually do the training session. So this was yesterday's training session. I'm actually recording my voiceover here after my pull session, which is going to be the session you guys will see tomorrow. So I always like looking back on the session a day later to kind of see how it felt looking back versus how it felt actually going through it. And let me tell you, first things first, total session time for today was 1 hour and 3 minutes, but holy shit, this was a rough one for me. I probably make it sound worse than it actually is there. I probably exaggerate a little bit. It wasn't that bad, but there were a couple things that just kind of had me like, okay, you know, I could have been better there, kind of from the start, right? So to start here on flat bench, took a progression on the 110s. Last week, my first set was 110, same as it is here. I didn't go up in weight, but I hit 10 reps last week. This week, I hit 11 reps. As you can see here, moved pretty well. It's just that last rep on these heavy sets here is just always one that I'm a little hesitant to push too hard, just because, again, this is a flat bench, and I'm like, I'd rather protect my pec than fuck around and find out, right? So hit 11 reps, still took a progression there on the reps, and then decided to back down to the hundreds. I think I hit 12 with 95 here last week, perhaps, and went up to 100. Hit 12 reps with the hundreds here on the second set. That was awesome. Again, the goal is 8 to 12 here, so this weight for the second set will move up next week. I think next week we'll end up doing 110, 105, 100, because for my third set this week, I ended up only hitting 8 reps. Now, the consideration there is that last week I only did the 90s. So this week I decided to stick with the 100 since I hit 12 on my second set. And I lost like 3, maybe only 2 reps because of that, actually. It was 2 or 3. Actually, maybe it was more. I don't fucking remember. Regardless, I did lose some reps because of that, but not a big deal because, again, that second set felt really good. So I decided to stick with the same weight. We're still in the rep range. We're still getting productive work in. The volume dropped off a little bit, obviously, because of that. But again, next week we'll end up doing 110, 105, 100. So just a 5-pound drop every time. Kind of a pain in the ass to do that when you have to do it with the dumbbells, at least at my gym, because, you know, you can see me here. I'm on the light end of the rack. That's where this bench that's a little bit more stable is. But the fucking 110s, 105s, 100s are all the way at the other end. So I have to farmers carry my way back to the bench just to get my weights in place. So the hardest part of doing a dumbbell bench of any kind is just fucking setting up for it. But yeah, it felt pretty good. I was a little, I think, just in my head about only hitting 8 reps on that last set because it just wasn't as much volume as last week. But I gotta remember that my chest also just grows fucking easily. I don't need to worry about it. Moving into the next movement now, this is going to be my incline hammer strength press. Again, 8 to 12 rep range goal here, nothing fancy. Same weight on the bar this week as well. 210 on my top set, 210 on my second set, and then 180 on my third set. So all those weights were the same. Ended up taking, I think, a 1 rep progression on the first and second set. So last week I think it was 11 and 8. This week it was 12 and 9. The 180, the third set, I ended up hitting 10 reps. And I think last week I hit 10 as well. So I'm pretty sure I just matched. Actually, maybe I hit 9. Maybe I improved. It was either a match or a 1 rep improvement. Regardless, it stays the same next week, so it doesn't really fucking matter. The 210, though, I have the ability to go up next week, and I'm just kind of debating on if I want to or not, because it wasn't the smoothest. This is a really hard movement to progress just because this is very, very heavy in that fully lengthened range there. So it's kind of a weird movement to progress on sometimes. I think I'll probably go up just 5 pounds next week. It's a very minor progression. And then just keep the second set the same. I'm not going to move the second set up. I think I'll do 215, 210, and then 180 next week. Again, this week, 210 for 12, 210 for 9, and 180 for 10. That's it. Nothing special about this. I think I moved my hands in here like a little bit closer on this third set, and it felt pretty good actually. So I think maybe taking a maybe half inch or inch narrower on my grip might help too. So we'll see how that plays out next week. Isolation movement for the day, same as always, pec deck. Took a pretty significant weight increase here last week. I think I went up from 110 to 120 last week. This week I went 120 to 125. So only 5 pounds up this week, but lost 2 reps over last week. Again, not a big deal though, because I still hit 17 reps and my rep range goal here is only 10 to 15. So I'm still over the range. The weight still goes up next week. The reason I took that big jump last week is I was way over the range. I was at like 19 reps and I could take a significant jump and feel confident about it. I took that significant jump, felt good. Still, I think I hit like 18 or 19 last week. And then this week hitting 17, again, we can go up probably 5 pounds more before I'm like, okay, now I need to monitor my progression a little bit. Maybe take a week at the next weight increment up. But yeah, 2 sets here, 125 for 17 and then 110 for 16. Depending on how next week's top set feels, that first set, I might go up to 115 on the second set. I only hit 16 reps. Again, I like to go to 17, which is 2 over on these isolation movements. We will see how that feels. If 130 on the first set feels really fucking awful next week, then we're not going to try and push 115 on the second set. I'm just going to try and crank out some more reps and get some volume in. But if it feels really good, if I crush it, then we'll do 115 probably on that second set. But overall, yeah, this felt really good today. Looking back at the numbers, my chest progression was totally fine today, even though I was kind of in my head about it. So I think part of it was I was also just a little tired. I had been having these crazy headaches lately. I think I'm over caffeinating. I think I've just been having too much coffee in the morning, and I've also been having like a green tea, when I get back from dropping my wife off at work, and it feels like I'm probably just having a little too much caffeine. It's kind of fucking with my mental a little bit. So tomorrow I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to literally just have like 1 cup of green tea in the morning, no coffee, and see if that improves my sleep and kind of just my mental space. I'm very sensitive to stimulants, so that typically is what causes me issues. I just didn't think it would start causing me issues at only just like 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. But again, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's just the hope. Moving now into the prime laterals, or I guess we're already through the first set of the, not prime laterals, the machine laterals. 10 to 15 reps is the goal here. Nothing real special here. I think I took a weight progression here though. Went up from 105 to 112.5. Again, these are weird plates here on the top set. Goal is 10 to 15. I hit 112.5 for 16. So we're going to keep that the same next week, especially because these didn't feel too great today. Not sure why. Something just wasn't feeling too awesome with them. So I think on my last set here, I actually ended up putting my arms out too and not grabbing the handles because I was just trying to play with things to see why they didn't feel good. But yeah, next week, I think, keeping the weight the same, probably across every set. 112.5 for 16, 105 for 13, and then 105 for 11. That was the weight and rep progression today. Again, the goal is 10 to 15, so still perfectly within the range and still 1 over the range on my top set. But, part of the best way that you can progress, right? Let me rephrase it, I guess. The best way you can monitor your progress is not just going to be reps and weight, right? So I very, very intently try to focus on making sure my form is as standardized as I can make it, session over session. And it's harder than you think because a lot of it, sometimes you just get in your head with it too. You think your form's off and it's really not, looking back at these training videos. And it can kind of set the pace for today. And again, that's kind of what happened here today. But all of that being said, monitoring the form is really important. And I would rather my form improve or stay consistent than the weight just go up by 5-10 pounds and the form lose 20% of its effectiveness, right? There's obviously like a balance there. You know, you can have absolutely textbook form and be lifting fucking nothing. And you're like, oh yeah, I feel it. And then, like, the analogy I always use to people is like, would you rather curl a toothpick absolutely perfectly 100 times, or would you rather curl 40 pounds with 80% perfect form 10 times? Which one do you think is going to elicit more muscle growth, right? And that's a loaded question. There's more to it than that, right? But looking at things from a form perspective, I think some people hyperfixate on that a little too much. So it's about incorporating all of those elements. And that's really what I try to do to make sure that I'm getting everything that I need. It's that whole picture we're trying to build, right? So, you know, finally talking here about my triceps, I think this is my last set here. I actually had 4 sets, but I didn't get one on camera because I did it on a different machine. It was feeling weird. I moved back to this machine. Long story short, there's 3 tricep extensions in the shot here. I ended up hitting 110 for 12, 90 for 13, 70 for 13, and 50 for 15. Believe it or not, those were progressions. I think I took a regression on the top set, which is why I ended up switching machines, because this is what I used last week, and I'm trying to be consistent week over week. But yeah, those felt pretty good. Going into my overhead tricep extensions here in a second too. Well, let me actually, one thing about that is my triceps just fatigue so easily. And I've said this before, but I think for me personally, something I really need to get through my head is on those tricep extensions, the bilaterals, I just need to focus on bringing that weight down a little bit and really contracting. I honestly might even jump down to like 70 pounds on my starter set next week. And just really, really fucking contract and really keep good form on those, and see how that feels. But yeah, single arm overhead tricep extension this week was this was a really fucking wonky movement. Last week, I think I hit 30 pounds for 16 reps on both sets. This week, 30 pounds for 12 and 30 pounds for 13. So big jump backwards, but this is a movement that's just a weird one anyway. It's not really there for a whole lot of progression, so to speak. It's mostly there just to complement the bilateral tricep extensions and really just get some blood flow into the tricep, work that outer head of the tricep, which is a little bit more neglected by the extensions and other forms of direct tricep work. So it serves its purpose still, even if we're not rapidly progressing this. But again, this was a little bit of an off day for me, so it happens. It's, you know, part of the game, right? I think that makes 2 days out of 32 days now that I've had that are somewhat off days. One of them was a leg day and one of them was this day. It's like, shit happens. So get back on track, working on correcting it. Again, I think cutting the caffeine back will probably help my sleep a little bit, probably help my recovery, which in turn will just make me feel better in general every session I go into, and then hopefully also fix some of those migraine issues I've been having. But yeah, got a lot of work to do, and I am doing it. So just going to let the last part of this set here play out, and that's going to be it for today, guys. As always, if you want to like, subscribe, comment down below, be sure to do all that. And until tomorrow, take it easy.